So we are on migraine remedy day 5. I'm Marin Phoenix. This has gone by so fast, and what an incredible journey. Where I really want to start today is to just honor what we have gone over for the past 5 days, or 4 days, 5 today. This journey has been, what we've covered has been very fast and has gone really deep. And so if what's come up for you over these 5 days has brought up some deep emotions or has made you feel maybe a little bit lost in a whirlpool of like, what is going on here? I really resonate with what she's saying, but like, whoa, this was a lot of information, a lot of things to think about. That's totally okay. We went really fast. Usually we go over this kind of stuff over a period of like 6 months or longer. Like I said, my journey took several years for me to really process and take in all of these lessons and all of this wisdom into my body to really embody what this is all about. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, no worries. You're perfect. This is a lot and it takes time to just really integrate into your body. So, and if this resonates with you, if you're listening to these challenges each day and you're like, okay, something is here. Like this is a lot. I'm not quite there, but this is something that I feel in my gut in my body is like, this is for me. I really want to go deep into these migraines. I want to heal them. I'm done. I don't want them anymore. I don't want to take medication. I'm done with this whole train of trying all these different things and nothing works. Just DM me. We can talk further about how we can support you with that journey. So today, I would love to talk about sort of this end. What is this emotional release about, and what does it really feel like when you get to that moment of finding that eureka moment, that release moment when the migraine actually dissipates. It's a very tense moment. Everything's kind of building up to that moment where you're able to really dig deep into something, a belief that you have, a story that you have about yourself, a deep, deep belief that's coming up in your life and creating this pain, right? And creating this migraine, this stress, this wanting to control, this tension in your body. So, one of the biggest things about this migraine journey, before we get into the release, is that this is all about empowerment, right? So I used to have this fear that when I when I was on migraine, when I took Relpex and Maxalt and all the different migraine medications, I used to have this horrible fear that like what if the world were to end or there was this horrible disaster and I was like walking through the woods like that God, that zombie show, and no access to medication, and I got a migraine. Like, what would I do? And I felt so helpless and freaked out thinking about that idea. Like, I would be at the mercy of this horrific pain, which, like, sometimes it goes on for like 12 days. I'm gonna like get eaten by a bear or something because I'm gonna be helpless with this migraine wandering through the woods. So this is really about what this work is about, what going deep and really getting to the source is all about is empowerment. It's about you being empowered so that when you start to feel a migraine coming on, when you start to feel tension and start to feel pressure in your head, in your body, you're able to just dig right in on your own. You're able to sit there with the help of a coach or someone to support you. You're able to just stop and dig in and feel like, I got this. Even if I'm stuck somewhere with no medication, I feel confident that when if a migraine were to come up, that I can sit with that and I can work through it on my own within a matter of minutes, hours, or maybe even might take a night or a couple days if it's really, really deep. So that you really feel like that's the biggest difference. Not that you'll never get a migraine again, but that when they come, and they'll be so much more infrequent, like you'll get so much fewer migraines. And when they come, you're like, no, I got this. I feel really confident. You're not afraid of it. You don't feel helpless or trapped or stuck. You really have something that you can do about it. So this is really about empowerment. And the way I love to think about it is like renting versus buying, right? So if you're taking medication, you get a migraine, you're like, okay, I gotta take my ibuprofen, I gotta do all of these different things. I gotta take my prescription, or you have to take a prescription every day. It's kind of like renting, right? It's like, okay, I fixed it this time, but they keep coming back. It's like you don't actually get any traction, right? When you're renting, you're just like paying someone else and you're not building any equity, you're not building an asset. When you do this deep work, you are it's the same thing as like buying a home, right? Like you're investing in yourself, because every layer that you heal, every time you heal a migraine and you get deeper into your trigger and what is happening right now and why, what is this belief that I have about myself that is creating this tension in my body? Every time you clear that, you're getting deeper and deeper into healing your migraines for good, right? And you're changing your life. So this is like you are building an asset in yourself, and you're building that muscle of really being able to be empowered to heal your own migraines. So, renting versus buying. I like home ownership. I'm all for that. And there's no judgment, wherever anybody's at. If you're feeling like, no, I'm still kind of like gonna hang out in the renting phase, but I want to slowly work my way into, how can I be more empowered with my migraines? You're perfect, exactly where you are. So the next thing that I want to talk about, which I forgot to talk about yesterday, and I wrote myself a reminder to make sure, is that through this process, remember how we talked about that critic and how that critic can come up and sort of sabotage our curiosity and make us kind of go into like a deeper tension and anger response. So when you're going through this process, when you're starting to dig into, okay, where did this migraine come from? What's going on in my life? Say you're doing like the techniques to move the energy, or you're releasing the pressure, or you're really trying to find what is the root cause of this migraine. And it's detective work, and detectives don't always find the villain right away, right? It's like you're kind of going down different pathways, and you might take a wrong turn and have to come on back the other way. This is when that critic, that saboteur inside of you, can pop up and start saying things like, oh my God, like this is just stupid, or like I can't do this, or God, like you're just not, you're not meant for this kind of stuff. You'll never heal your migraines on your own. That saboteur can like really be nasty and come up and just want to veer you off track. So I just want to let you know that that can happen. And all of that blaming, self blame or blaming others, man, like, if my boss wasn't such a jerk, then I wouldn't even have a migraine, or, you know, all of that blaming and stuff. It just kind of like stalls the process. And if you can just be loving with yourself, be patient, and just when that comes up, if you say, oh God, I'll never get through this, just remind yourself you are powerful. You're really powerful, and you can and you will. Just stick with it. So, I'm gonna have a little story for you about a migraine that came up recently. So it's just so perfect. I was reminded this is just a perfect story. And it really highlights what happens in that release moment, and really like what is the point? What is really happening there? Because it's all about a resolution within. It's not a resolution outside of yourself. So when you're going through what is the root source of this migraine, it's about finding that within, and about changing the story for yourself within, about witnessing and honoring the emotions that you're feeling and going through. There's nothing that you need to do outside. There's no action that you need to take with other people unless you want to, unless you identify like, you know what? I recognize that this environment is just really not healthy for me, and I need to leave this environment, or wow, this relationship with this person is just really not healthy for me and I need to leave that relationship. You can have those epiphanies through this work as well. But the really and the really big thing, so that's important to know, like this is going to change your life if you really dig into the work. And the big thing with these migraines, you can resolve your migraine simply by witnessing your own feeling of sadness, your own emotional turmoil within. You don't have to take action outside of yourself. It's basically, and so let me highlight this with a story. It'll make more sense. So, I recently got a phone call from my brother, and he had wanted me to come travel, to get together with some family. And my children are very young, and I said, no, I can't leave my children because this was like a lone trip, like me come alone. And I said, I can't leave my children this young. And his response back to me was, I think you need to do this very seriously, right? And I had this moment inside of me like, wait, what? No, I said that I don't want to leave my children, right? Like there's this kind of like tension moment. Now, I didn't really think a lot of this during the conversation. I just kind of said no, I really can't leave them right now. It's just not right for me. And went on about it. And it didn't even seem like a big deal, right? In the conversation itself. And sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes a migraine trigger can happen and you don't even notice. It doesn't have to be a big deal. I had a little bit of tension of like, oh, that was like a tense tone. And then it was kind of the conversation continued and we got off the phone and said, oh, love you, and can't wait to see you as soon as we can someday in this non-COVID future. And that was it. Now later that day I start to get a migraine. I'm starting to get this pain. I'm like, what is going on? Now I know from where it is in my head that it has something to do with masculine, either my own masculine or a relationship that I have with a man, a conversation that I had, or something that is going on in my life with a man in my life. Because, like I said in previous day, there's every part of your body is mapped to a very specific thing going on in your life, and different parts of your head will map to different triggers that can come up in your life. So whether it's from a mom or a woman or your dad or brother or a man, or something that happened in the past or something you're worried about in the future, all of those things you can hone in on using body mind mapping, which is just an awesome tool for the coaching process and healing your migraines. So I knew from where the pain was that this had to do with a man in my life. And of course, I had some tension with my partner, and I'm like going through, okay, what conversations have I had with males? And I'm spending, going through my day thinking about it, and suddenly it hits me. Oh my God, that phone call with my brother. Oh my God, that moment where it was like it just came right to me because I put the intention behind, like, I want to know the source of my migraine. And throughout the day, I just kind of kept coming back to it and sitting in that tension, like we talked about yesterday. It finally came to me that sentence, like, I really think you need to do this. And it set off this, like, ooh, like I felt really frustrated hearing that. I felt really tense and like kind of angry a little bit. Like, what do you mean you think I need to do this? Like, who are you to tell me what I need to do, right? And this is where I want to jump in and explain it doesn't have anything to do with him, right? Like that he could have said that sentence with not at all having that intention of, telling me what to do or being bossy or commanding or anything like that. So this really doesn't have to do with the other person. So this is highlighting that. It doesn't have to do with the other person. It has to do with the way that I feel about and see myself, right? So this is a deeper story that I have about myself of I am men just just tell me what to do, right? Like men, I'm constantly being like put down by men and they think they know better, and gosh, like they're just trying to tell me how to live my life. Like this is a deep deep story, and I know I'm not alone in this story, but it can be very painful. And because I have that story, when he says a sentence like that, whether he meant it that way or not, it doesn't matter. It's how I felt. It's the story that I have and how I took it that's creating that tension inside of me that results in a migraine, right? And so, in order to release the migraine, in order to stop that pain and heal it, I have to be willing to be able to be vulnerable. I have to be vulnerable and willing to fully acknowledge, witness that pain within myself, to see that story that I have about, like, gosh, men are just like constantly pushing me around and telling me what to do and telling me what to think, and what, like, I'm just this mom over here, like I don't know any better. That story within me that generates that reaction, that anger, that energy behind it, willing to just first acknowledge that. Wow, I feel that way. Whew, that's a lot of emotion. That's a lot of energy. I didn't even know I had that story sitting there. And now, like, really dig into it. So I went into, okay, where else is that showing up in my life? How else do I feel that way? Gosh, looking back at bosses that I've had, male bosses, looking at the way that I respond to my partner and the way that I perceive how he talks to me. And I'm constantly, because we're so powerful, we are creating our realities every moment. I mean, this gets so deep, you guys, so deep. And so I'm actually pulling men into my field who will tell me what to do, who will tell me how to think, who will treat me this way, because it's a belief that I have, that I'm holding within myself, right? So I'm manifesting this in my life, and and when, even if a man doesn't mean it that way, I'm seeing it that way. That's my reality. That's how I'm painting the world. So to heal this, it's like really going deep with that. How have I really shaped my reality with that, and then mourning it, like feelings, that deep emotion deep inside, that sadness. Okay, wow. If that's how I feel, gosh, I feel like men push me around. Wow, what does that feel like? And that's when you get into the emotion. That's when the emotion starts to rise up, and you just pursue it, pursue it, pursue it. How deep does that go? How does that really feel? Because honestly, we are so used to pushing emotion down, to pushing it away, to not crying, to not feeling in our lives, and this is just how society is shaped, that like we can really turn that off. We can turn that faucet off of really being in touch with our emotions. So it doesn't have to be that way. We can really get in touch. We can go deep. So as you really start to feel, wow, what does that feel like in my body, of like, wow, I feel pushed around by men. God, that feels really sad. That feels really flippin' sad. And then the emotions start to come up. So for me, in this case, as I went in, I had a nice big cry, you know, getting deep into, like, oh my God, it sucks. This is the important part: witness and honor, no judgment. No judgment of yourself, no judgment of others, right? So I could go into judgment about, well, my brother is just like being rude. Like that was just rude. And if I'm stay there, then I stay stuck in my story. I stay stuck in the migraine. I stay stuck in that tension, because I'm not going to change him. It's not about him, it's about me, right? He's outside of me, and I could have a conversation with him about, like, hey, that hurt my feelings when you said it that way, and he could say, I didn't really intend to say it that way. It doesn't change the reality that I felt right in that moment, because that is the key to the migraine, to really witnessing and honoring that was true for me in that moment, right? And whatever is coming up for you, that is true for you in that moment. And really honor and respect that, and let that release, let that let the emotions, let the sadness, let the pain of that feeling come through you. That's how you release the migraine. So, yeah, so no judgment of yourself either. This is actually really, this is even trickier. It's kind of easy to get the whole, okay, don't, just letting the non-judgment for others, but having that non-judgment for yourself of like, well, then I should just be stronger. Okay, so I feel pushed around by men. Well, I should just be stronger. I should just stand up to them. Well, I maybe I'm just weak. Going into that judgment about yourself also isn't really what this releasing is about, right? Like that kind of just digs you into a hole of more anger and more tension, this time directed at yourself. It's back in that critic. So coming into that curiosity of like, wow, how does it really feel for this to be true? Men push me around. How does that really feel? Sticking with that curiosity and honoring and not judging it, just being like, wow, okay, so that's true for me. Okay, cool. It doesn't have to be true. I can change that. I can change that story. That was true for me. And now it's not. And I'm going to like really witness and feel everything that having that truth has caused this deep sadness in me. I'm going to really witness that and allow that to flow through me so that I can now start to create a new story, a new reality about, you know what? If my brother calls me and he says, I really think you should come, I can say, oh, yeah, I can hear that you think I should come, but I'm not going to because I have my truth. And I no longer feel triggered. I no longer feel like there's something underlying that. There's an energy behind that moment when I hear him say that anymore because I've released it. And in releasing that, I've released the migraine, which is incredible. And that's exactly what happened. So as soon as I really allowed myself to cry through it, to feel all of the sadness of that and to let that reality go, let that belief go for myself, the migraine just dissipated on the spot. On the spot, you guys. It is that powerful. It is that amazing. Ugh, I love this stuff, and you can do it too. I promise you. You really can. So, I think that is everything. Check my notes to make sure I didn't miss anything today since it's the last day that I'm doing this. Yes, I think that's everything. That's everything that I wanted to say about that. So, this is deep work. Just to reiterate, this is deep work. It's physical release. It's going into what is the source of, like, why was I triggered? Realizing what the trigger was. That kind of helps you get to the source, get to the root of what's going on for you, what's underlying that trigger. Following, being a detective and following that emotional thread within you as you get hotter or colder towards where the source is, and then really allowing yourself in this total loving, non-judgment way to just let that, whatever that truth is that comes up to you, whatever it is that you're feeling, just honor it. Let that sadness just flow through you. I mean, cry it out. Like, just really get yourself a box of tissues, go in a place that you feel really safe, that you can have this strong emotional release and just let it out. Let it out until it's all out of you. And at that point, I promise you, like I've done this enough times to like really know the migraine just it just dissipates on the spot. So, this is an empowering technique. This is an empowering process. This is about you being able to be confident, not being afraid. If you get a migraine, we don't even need to call it migraine. If you start to get pain in your head, if you start to feel pain anywhere in your body. I mean, this process can be used anywhere in your body. And like I said, there's this body mind mapping that my mentor taught me is all about every part of your body is mapped to a different trigger, a different reason that it's happening in your life. So as you are really honoring these messages, you are you're expanding this out to every part of your life. Like your whole life will change and you can feel so empowered that when a pain starts, okay, cool. What's the cause? Addressing that. Wow, I have a layer that's coming up, a belief that's not serving me that needs to be released, letting it go. And then, dang girl or guy, you're like, you just empowered yourself massively. You just changed your life. You just got a little shinier, a little more authentic, a little more in yourself, and bam, you got rid of your migraine. Like that feels incredible. And in case you had that fear that in case the world ends and you're walking around the woods with zombies, whatever, whatever crazy thing comes to your mind, and you run out of medication and you get a migraine, and what are you gonna do? You'll be like, I'm fine. I've got this. I can heal my own migraines. So it's really about that empowerment. It's about feeling that confidence and building that muscle inside yourself. So that is what I have. This is migraine remedy. This challenge has been incredible. I have loved hearing from people. I have loved sharing this, and I hope that this has helped you. And if you want to go deeper, if you need deeper support, if you're like, I'm done with migraines, like, I don't want to feel this anymore, just message me and we will get you the support, get you into a container so that you can really go deep and heal your migraines for good, feel that empowerment, and any other chronic issues that you have going on. We can go into all of that. So message me. Happy New Year. Happy New Year's Eve. This is a brand new year. We're getting ready to just like become hopefully safe to go outside our homes again and interact with people. And I'm just so excited for all of the new energy coming into this new year. Everyone is like ready to just transform and be empowered and like take this year to a new level. And so, happy new year to you. And I hope that you have an incredible start to 2021.